Pello Bilbao wins one for Team Bahrain Victorious and one for Gino Mäder. On-site 2023 Tour de France, Stage 10 in Issoire, the day after the rest day. Spaniard, Basque rider, Pello Bilbao, last name is Bilbao, like the city from where the Tour de France started, won the stage in an exciting, thrilling sprint against Georg Zimmermann, despite the attacks from Ben O'Connor behind to try to win the stage. Let's roll it back. We had 167 kilometers on tap from Volcania, the stage, the hottest so far, by far, in this Tour de France. It's around 100 degrees Fahrenheit, 38 degrees Celsius out here. It's a scorcher. That didn't stop the riders from really putting on a show today. And if you're tuning in the early kilometers, well, you got some action because it was Tadej Pogacar, Jonas Vingegaard, Simon Yates, Adam Yates, a lot of the big hitters going up the road, some big attacks, but eventually that all got sorted out. I think the riders in the group understood that it couldn't go all the way to the line with those big GC guns in the group. This stage, up and down all day, in the Massive Central, hot. We knew it was gonna suit an escape today, and the solid one really got shaped at around 123 kilometers to race. Israel Premier Tech, which won the stage the other day with Canadian Mike Woods, they had two riders in the move, Chris Nielens and also Nick Schultz. Schultz would be an ultimate domestique later for Nielens. Also in the move, Alaphilippe, Kwiatkowski, Ben O'Connor, Pello Bilbao, some big names making the move, riding free. They got a good sized gap, but they had to fight to keep it pushing all the way here to Issoire. Back behind, the action was still happening nonetheless. The group was all spread out on the road. At one point, even mountain classification leader Nilsen Paulus was distanced in that polka dot jersey. Also, the sprinters like Jasper Philipsen, that led Alpecin de Koenig to switch gears for Mathieu van der Poel. But then at one point, you see Alpecin riding on front, Mathieu van der Poel riding on front, and you look further back in the group and we saw the green jersey. Jasper Philipsen was back in the group and the race was back on. And it was back on also for Mathieu van der Poel. It wasn't always for Jasper Philipsen because around 45 kilometers to go, him and Wout van Aert, two of the cyclocross all-stars, world champions, went free on the attack, hunting the stage win, but it was a bit too much with the gap still around 2 minutes up the road to our group of escapees who would eventually go on to fight for the stage win. Nielens wanted to go free. On the last categorized climb, Nick Schultz, the Australian, buried himself for the Israel Premier Tech teammate Nielens. Nielens rocketed out of the bunch, 32 kilometers to go, and frankly, he looked like he had enough of a time gap to go for the stage victory. But behind, they weren't giving up. It was Chavez in the move, Bilbao, O'Connor, Zimmermann, and Pedrero. Those guys were chasing them down, and then further back, Kwiatkowski, Alaphilippe, Skilmos, and Barguil. Coming into the final, well, Nielens' day was over 3 kilometers out, and then we had a real race on our hand. Ben O'Connor, the Australian who won a stage in the past, jumped out from the group. His only move, his real move to get a shot to win the stage because the best sprinter in the bunch, well, that was going to be Bilbao. They brought back O'Connor, then it was Zimmermann's turn. You might remember him from the Criterium du Dauphiné. He won an excellent summit finish stage there. Well, today he was going for his luck. Again, it was Bilbao, like with O'Connor, who marked the move. Those two, Zimmermann and Bilbao, had a bit of a gap. Pello Bilbao sat on Zimmermann's wheel. They're coming into the final. Then eventually, Bilbao came to the front, did a little bit of work, and then looked over to Zimmermann. Zimmermann back on the front for the final meters, and then Pello opened up a sprint right when O'Connor and the rest of the guys were coming up from behind. Pello Bilbao for the victory in what was an exciting day, start to finish, but also in an emotional day. You would have seen Bilbao right after the coverage. He was super sad, super emotional. Yes, he gave the team the needed Tour de France win, but also was coming about a month after the Tour de Suisse, where the Bahrain victorious Swiss rider Gino Mäder crashed and sadly died in the race. Pello was an emotional wreck afterwards, and at one point he didn't quite even know if he'd raced the Tour de France. And you have to consider the story too. It was Mäder who had a dog. He had found a stray dog there in the city of Bilbao, and named the dog Pello after Pello Bilbao. Pello Bilbao. Well, today, Pello Bilbao 1-1 for Gino Mäder, 1-1 for the team. So an emotional day, and if you looked at the team's jersey, they got Ride for Gino right there on the jersey. Well, it was a great ride, very emotional ride for Pello and the team, zipping in here to the final after a couple wins in the Giro d'Italia. Pello Bilbao, by-reign victorious on the line in Issoire, the Tour de France, Stage 10.